Have you ever seen this? One day you read a headline that gold prices are falling, and the very next day some expert is on TV predicting it's about to skyrocket. It's confusing, right? Well, today we're going to cut through all that noise. We'll connect what's happening in the markets to what actually matters, your wallet, and lay out a super clear plan for building real wealth.
So, here's the puzzle, pulled straight from the news cycle. You see gold prices take a dip, but at the exact same time, you're hearing these wild predictions that it's going to soar to $5,000 an ounce. How can both of these things be true? It feels like the market is sending completely mixed signals. And we're not talking about some abstract percentage point here. The price recently took a very real hit, dropping down to around $2,186 an ounce. So, what gives? What's causing this slide? Well, the main reason is actually surprisingly simple. It's a little thing called profit taking. Just think of it like this. Gold had a fantastic run. It hit a 6-week high. For traders, that's a blinking green light to sell and lock in those gains. So this tip isn't about some deep fundamental problem with gold. It's just short-term strategy at play. Right, so despite that little dip, here's exactly why the experts are still so optimistic. First, pretty much everyone expects the Federal Reserve to start cutting interest rates. And when rates fall, assets like gold that don't pay interest suddenly look a whole lot more attractive. And second, central banks are buying it up by the truckload. They added 53 tons in October alone. That is a massive vote of confidence from the biggest players in the game. So traders are making their calculated gambles based on all these market signals. But that brings up a much, much more important question for you and me. While they're gambling on gold, what's the biggest gamble you're taking with your own money? And I'll bet the answer has absolutely nothing to do with the stock market. For most of us, the biggest financial risk isn't a sudden market crash. Nope. It's the quiet, everyday habits that are actively blocking us from ever building wealth. These are the real gambles we take. And a lot of the time, we don't even realize we're taking them. And here they are, the 5 biggest wealth blockers. Just flying blind with no budget, having no savings to fall back on, getting tangled up in high-interest debt, letting that sneaky lifestyle creep eat up every raise you get, and, of course, choosing instant gratification over long-term security. Let's just zoom in on a couple of the sneakiest ones, shall we? Okay, high-interest debt, especially credit card debt, it's like wealth's natural predator. It is actively working against you 24/7. Every single dollar you pay in interest is a dollar you can't invest for your future. It's literally like trying to fill a bucket that has a giant hole in the bottom. There's a really simple rule here, and it's powerful. If you can't pay for it in full, right now, you can't afford it, period. And then there's this one, the silent killer of wealth, lifestyle creep. Oh, it's so subtle. You get a raise, you feel a little richer, so you upgrade your car or your apartment. Maybe you start eating out at fancier places, and before you know it, you're still living paycheck to paycheck, just with nicer stuff. Your income went up, but your actual wealth, it stood completely still. And this quote just perfectly illustrates that trap, doesn't it? We tell ourselves, oh, I'll start saving when I get that next promotion, or once I'm making 6 figures, then I'll get serious. But that's a totally flawed way of thinking. The habit of saving is so much more important than the amount you start with. Okay, enough about the problems. Let's talk solutions. Because the good news is the playbook for building real, sustainable wealth is actually incredibly simple. It's not about being a genius and timing the market. It's about mastering 3 basic fundamental pillars. That's it. This is the entire foundation. See? It's not that complicated. First, you just have to create a gap between what you earn and what you spend. Second, you build a cash shield to protect you from life's surprises. And third, you put your money to work for you by investing, and you start as early as you possibly can. Let's break down how to do each one. For Pillar 1, living within your means, the 50-30-20 rule is a fantastic place to start. It basically gives every single one of your dollars a job. 50% of your take-home pay goes to your absolute needs. We're talking rent, groceries. 30% is for your wants, the fun stuff, and a non-negotiable 20% goes straight into savings and paying down debt. Pillar 2 is your financial shock absorber, an emergency fund that can cover 3 to 6 months of your essential living expenses. That's the thing that keeps a surprise car repair or an unexpected medical bill from turning into a full-blown financial catastrophe that throws you deep into debt. And now, for Pillar 3, this is your most powerful wealth-building tool of all, time. Just look at this chart. It shows the absolute magic of compound interest. The person who starts investing at age 20, even with less money, ends up light years ahead of someone who waits until 30. Why? Because their money has an entire extra decade to grow on itself, creating this incredible snowball effect that is almost impossible to catch up to. And look, here is the easiest win in the entire world of finance. If your job offers a 401k match, you absolutely, positively must contribute enough to get the full amount. Not doing it is literally turning down free money. It is an immediate 100% return on your investment. You can't beat that anywhere.
All right, let's bring this all the way back to the beginning. We started by looking at gold traders, people who react to the news of the day. But building lasting wealth? That requires a totally different mindset. So it really all comes down to one simple question. Are you a trader or are you a builder? The trader, they react to every single headline. They're chasing quick profits, gambling on those short-term market moves. The builder, on the other hand, they ignore the daily noise. They follow a simple, consistent plan, like those 3 pillars we just talked about, and they focus on steady, long-term growth. One path is stressful and uncertain. The other is proven and reliable.
So, I'll just leave you with this one question to think about. When you look at your money and the choices you make, are you building a strategy to win based on tomorrow's headline? Or are you patiently laying the foundation for a secure and prosperous life 10, 20, even 30 years from now? The choice is all yours.